Hiya Matty, always great to meet up with you at the range and do a little bit of work on your game. Really good session, got into a little bit more detail about some of the changes that you need to make. First of all, when we look at it from down the line, setup's looking better, that right leg looking a little bit straight. You could put some flex back in that, but I like the idea of what you're doing. By doing that, it's keeping the weight forward, it's giving you that sensation of being stacked on the top of the ball or on the left side at the top of the backswing, so I haven't really got a problem with that. If we watch the initial part of the swing, you were struggling obviously here with shots that were tailing off to the right. You know, the takeaway though, the relationship between the club and the hands is much, much better. So you can see the club not rolling behind the hands as much. Now what we need to do is get those hands in a little bit more. So we want that relationship to stay the same, but we want the left arm angled in here more, so that we'd be looking at the club about here. So I like the relationship between the club and the hands, but I'd just like to see the hands coming in a little bit more at that point. One of the reasons that could be happening, we talked about, was the fact that the right arm sits very straight. It's set up almost like it's locked out. And as a result, what that means is that during the early part of the backswing, there's very little loading of the wrist or the right arm. So the right arm doesn't start to soften until well into the backswing about here. Unfortunately now the club's starting to get pushed behind us. And whenever you try and load things later in the swing, it becomes harder to coordinate. That move where the right arm stays very straight can also start to pull you off the ball a little bit, which is apparent when we look at you here from face on with driver. Backswing a little bit too wide, and that starts to pull us off the golf ball. As we approach the top of the swing, you see the wrist cock going in there quite late, and we'll work on that more and more as the sessions progress. What I would like to see you do is to allow you to feel that right arm softening a little bit more, is to adjust your grip. You can see there that your right arm's very, very straight, and the right elbow sitting sort of pointing towards the camera as we look at that point. One of the reasons for that is because we grip the club quite weak in the right hand. So what we've got here is the grip at the start of the session, and the grip that I'd like to see you make is more like so. So what we've done is we've turned the right hand under a little bit, and what that's going to do is reposition the right elbow and make the folding of the right arm gradually during the backswing a little bit easier to achieve. The added benefit of that is also that the club face won't come in as open at impact, so a little bit more underneath it, if you will, with your right hand. You can see that that's a great looking grip. It's not too weak, not too strong at all. In my own opinion, I think that your right hand grip initially is far too weak. You can see there that the pad sits on the top of the grip. So this pad here, which we refer to as pressure point 3, is sitting on top of the grip rather than like we see it now on the side of the grip, which is a much more neutral position to be in. So turning the right hand under a little bit, working the hands in a little bit more, which will be easier with a stronger grip, and allowing the right arm to fold a little bit sooner again, which is going to be made easier. Not guaranteeing it, but it will be made easier with that little grip change, and the effects that that has on the alignment of the right forearm. During the downswing, we talked about that little drift off it on the way back caused by the takeaway, and then during the downswing there's just that tendency to back up even more, almost in an attempt to square the club up. Now obviously when you've got a very weak grip, you need to work a little bit harder through impact to square that club up. One way of doing that is to drop the head back. As the head drops back, the feeling of catapulting the club through becomes easier, but the thing becomes a little bit chaotic and doesn't always guarantee success. So on here we're just trying to keep you ahead of the ball, or keep you on top of the ball. The cane to the side of your head is preventing the little drift off that you'd normally get in the takeaway. You can see the right arm folding just a little bit sooner. We still need to work that in more. And then on the way down, We're not backing up quite as much, because if we do, we're going to headbutt the cane, which is not going to feel too good. But more than anything, we're going to get some good feedback on it. In regards to the overall height of your shot, we've got the handle leading the club head quite a lot at that point with the driver, which is presenting the club with negative loft. So we're getting a 12-degree driver and we're turning it into almost like an 8-degree driver because we're leaning the shaft forward so much. What I'd rather see you do, like we've got here, is get the feeling that the head and the hands are going to catch up with one another. I wouldn't at this stage want the club head passing the hands, but I would want to see it more, the shaft sitting more straight up and down with the driver. The shaft leaning forward with an iron is great. I'll talk you through the ins and outs of the benefits of that when we get together next. But with the driver, we want to see the shaft and the hands match up a little bit more at impact. You've got the drill for that, where you push the hips forward and you feel like you're just trying to launch every ball a little bit higher using a short swing just to give you a feeling of getting the shaft to match up with the hands a little bit more. And when you did that, the ball flight did start to creep up. And again, this is all stuff that we need to work on going forward, getting the ball flight up, making it easier for you to draw the ball, etc, etc. But I like what I see there. The hips are pushed forward a little bit more. The handle's still where it should be, but the club head is caught up. And instead of de-lofting that driver, we're going to hit the driver with a more appropriate loft on the club face. If you have any questions regarding any of this, just feel free to give me a call or obviously pop in the shop. We'll have a chat and a brew as usual and discuss the swing and various other things as we go. Hope you enjoyed it and look forward to working with you again in a month or so's time. Well done.